I've known Jim Teer for over 40 years. Jim was the first professor I had. He became a mentor for me and kindled the flame for wildlife conservation in me. He started as a biologist with Texas Parks and Wildlife in Llano, Texas, and it was in his field work there where he started and where he worked with some other, as it turns out, very prominent individuals and developed some research and made some publications on white-tailed deer that were state-of-the-art at the time and are still worthwhile reading today. Jim moved up from assistant professor to the head of the wildlife department at Texas A&M and the Caesar Kleberg Chair, and retired and took over the Welder Wildlife Foundation and did an outstanding job at all of those. Jim served as president of the Wildlife Society, our professional organization, and was honored to receive the Leopold Award, the highest award given by that society.
Jim's a promoter of wildlife around the world. He's involved with wildlife in India, Russia, and of course Africa. I think he's kind of has a soft spot in his heart for Africa.
I do want to tell a story on Jim because Jim likes to quail hunt by himself, and you know, my quail rig is one where it's set to take out a lot of people quail hunting and the dogs and all of that. But Jim much prefers to go out on his own with his dog Bear and just walk and hunt and look at nature and have fun by himself. Well, Jim had me drop him off at about 2 in the afternoon way out in the middle of the ranch, and I said, Jim, where do you want me to pick you up? And he said, well, right here at dark. You come back and get me right here at dark. Well, I got right back there at dark and no Dr. Teer, you know, and I'm blowing the horn and driving around, and finally way off in the distance I can hear some shotguns go off, and so I start driving to it, and I finally find Jim, and I was certainly worried about him, and although he wasn't worried about me at all. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with this every day. So the next day I decided I'd slip one of my dog tracking collars in his game bag, and I'd say, Jim, where do you want me to let you off? And he'd go, right here. And I said, where do you want me to pick you up? Right here at dark. Well, I'd get there, and of course he wouldn't be there, so I'd have to flip on my tracking collar, and I'd just start searching for Dr. Teer.
Jim's non-confrontational, non-judgmental manner of handling situations and issues always invited trust from people, whether he was talking to a group of people in Africa on wildlife management issues or he was talking to landowners in Llano County. He always invited that trust that made people see all sides of the picture to reach a conclusion with which everyone would be satisfied. The second thing, I guess, about Jim that I most admire is that he married well. He married real well. And he and Joan, for the past 50 some odd years, have enjoyed, there's a great relationship in which they complement one another.
Jim came to Texas A&M University as a faculty member when it was going through some very trying times of, at least the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Sciences at the time, trying to figure out really what its purpose was. And he brought in a lot of new faculty. Most of the faculty there today were Jim Teer's hires. He built the department into one of the top 3 departments in the country. I will say #1, but you hate to brag about your department. Under his leadership, and it's remained there to this day, basically because of the people he hired back in the 70s.
Jim Teer, having spent 20 years of his life here, he's very, very closely intertwined. His career is intertwined with this foundation. In fact, that puts him as the longest standing director of this foundation. He has literally touched the lives of hundreds of people throughout the years who have gone into the field and made a name for themselves.
The lasting impression he's left with the students in the profession, a lot of people owe their careers to Jim Teer, either as students under his leadership or as funded students at Welder Wildlife Foundation. And the profession itself, the Wildlife Society, which under his leadership advanced out of just being a national organization to become an international organization under his leadership. So that's kind of the legacy he's left the wildlife profession.